What do scary movies, indie games, and Harry Potter have in common? Let's talk. What up, viewers? What up? What up? Calc Soups here, and today is Friday, March 18th, and that means it's time for a quick recap of the week in video game news. Like I said, we got a lot of news this week, so let's jump right in. What up, Eric? This week we had, just yesterday, we had another PlayStation State of Play. So we talked about State of Play last week, but this week was focused on Hogwarts Legacy. We got 15 minutes of extended gameplay for Hogwarts Legacy, a game that I am very much excited about. And it really showed kind of the open world, the breadth of it, showed a little bit of what the combat will be like, showed how you kind of build out your own room of requirements, how you'll attend classes and learn new spells. It gave a little bit of like the narrative of like you're starting as a 5th year and you'll select your, they talked about selecting your house. I assume that'll be during character creation, which would be pretty fun to kind of see you select your house and then you'll sit down and be selected. You'll have your whole sorting hat moment, which should definitely be very fun. They talked about the grounds of Hogwarts as well as the area around it. And they set up a little bit of kind of who the antagonists are going to be. So all in all, it's a game I'm very excited for. They did confirm a holiday 2022 release date. So hopefully we're getting something, or I'm hopeful that means we're getting something in Q4 of this year. And with Gotham Knights already coming out in October and them not wanting to be on top of themselves, we're probably looking at like a November or maybe even an early December release date to fit it in before the end of the year. So those are my kind of speculations. And yeah, let me know what you think of Hogwarts Legacy down in the comments. I did read a really cool essay this week talking about the whole J.K. Rowling issue. And I don't think I had been as educated on it as I should be. So I will have a link down below to a pretty good essay talking about J.K. Rowling's stances, how it's not just 1 or 2 comments, which is what I might have thought before, and that it's really like her taking a stand, how she's kind of using her platform to promote these really anti-trans viewpoints, these really hurtful stances. So I would bequeath you all, for anybody who wants to be a responsible consumer of media, who is looking forward to Hogwarts Legacy, to at least educate themselves on what is going on with J.K. Rowling and what she has said about various different communities out there, specifically the trans community. Yeah, I think I am still very excited for Hogwarts Legacy. I do think it's a detractor. I will probably commit some money to some trans support groups in order to kind of balance the scales when I inevitably buy Hogwarts Legacy. So that's just my stance. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Also this week, we got a new Supermassive game. Supermassive is the company behind Until Dawn and the Dark Pictures anthology games. The next game coming from them, which was teased on Wednesday and announced on Thursday, was The Quarry. And apparently it has all of the high school slasher tropes that you know. They even have David Arquette, Ariel Winters. So I'll get to the cast in a little bit, but it has all the tropes. I think the kids start at a camp. David Arquette as the sheriff has to leave the camp, and camp I think is ended for the summer, but they still have to hang out for a little bit. They have to figure out what's going on. David Arquette is super spooked about it. I keep referring to him. He probably has a character name, but I'm going to keep referring to the actor just because he's kind of a horror icon. Yeah, he has to leave, and then they really seemed like they were tailoring. There was parts where I saw like, are we getting like a Hills Have Eyes enemy, or are we getting something supernatural? Are we getting something Jason-like? So the kind of, if you remember back to Until Dawn, there was supposed to be like a butterfly effect, and the choices you made in the game kind of turned it so that the game was, more supernaturally themed, where things happening supernatural, or there was a more of like a prank jokester kind of approach. So I am excited to kind of see how they take that a step further. The game is also launching very soon. It's coming June 10th, so right before E3 of this year. We will be able to play a Supermassive game. Definitely not the time frame I would have thought, but I know that they probably have another Dark Picture anthology game coming out in December of this year. Is that the House? No, House of Ashes was last year. I forget what the one coming out this one, Seeker of Demons or something like that. I don't remember. But yeah, I'm really excited for the next Supermassive game. I played the crap out of Until Dawn. Had a really good time playing some of the Dark Picture anthology games, passing around the controller. So I'm expecting to see all of those things in the next horror game that I'm looking forward to. So yeah, the cast is they've got Justice Smith, they've got Ariel Winter, they got David Arquette. There's a bunch of people in the game. So again, it's a very star-studded cast, even more so than Until Dawn with Hayden Panettiere and Rami Malek. So I think that they've taken that a step further, and I'm just excited to kind of see what they've kind of improved upon. We know that they've been doing the Dark Picture anthologies, and the movie mode and the multiplayer have all been kind of improved as they've been going. So hopefully some of that transfers over to this game. The one thing I thought was a little weird was a little bit of the conversation calling about this game as a spiritual successor, which I don't quite feel. I mean, I understand that like this is the same studio that made Until Dawn, so they're calling it a spiritual successor to Until Dawn. It's the same studio, it's the same type of game. They've been making these games every year for the past couple years. So maybe I don't understand the definition of a spiritual successor, but this is the same people making the same game. So yeah, the only thing that I think has changed is the publisher. I think Until Dawn was published by Sony, and this one is published by 2K. So that I don't think that is going to have very much bearing on the actual gameplay. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. This week we got a IDXbox, Indie Dev at Xbox stream for 2 hours. It was a little bit long. Just gonna start that off there. I think these usually go a little bit long, but they're a little bit more of an interview kind of thing rather than a series of condensed trailers like you would expect at like a Nintendo Direct or a place, a state of play. So this is a little bit more long form, but you really get to hear from the developers talking about their game, and you can kind of see a lot of the excitement going along with it. They started off strong with a game that was launching that day on Game Pass, Tunic, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. Actually, no, I'll talk about it now. It's got an 85 Metacritic, so it's reviewing pretty well. It's the way it's been described is kind of a more traditional Zelda game plus Dark Souls, but it's not Elden Ring. But no, it's more of like it's got the Link's Awakening kind of art style, and you play as a little fox, and I think you die and respawn back. There's a little bit of the recursive element with Dark Souls, and it's a little tough. A lot of people have also said it's a little bit like Death's Door, but apparently the way you interact with the world is a lot different than at Death's Door. But so there's a lot going on there, but it looks like a fun game, and the fact that it launched on Game Pass means that any Game Pass subscribers can pick it up and play it right now. So pretty excited to see that. I'm still lost in Elden Ring, but looking forward to keeping this kind of in the back of my mind and downloading this at some point. Another one of the big titles they talked about at the ID at Xbox event was Immortality. It's the next Sam Barlow game. Sam Barlow is the creative mind behind Her Story. So these all have like a really FMV feel. And they've got live actors, and you're trying to figure out how this missing actress whose movies never got made died, and so you're going to go through her life in a series of interviews and movie scenes, and try and kind of piece together how she died and why these movies never got made. So pretty exciting stuff. I haven't played any of the Sam Barlow games, but I've always kept kind of her story in the back of my mind, something I wanted to play. So this one actually really did catch my eye, so maybe I'll pick this one up when it drops. Next game that caught my eye was Flintlock. It's from the developers of Ashen. So if you played Ashen before, it's got really smooth combat. It's a third-person isometric kind of brawler game. So, but this one will have guns and a pet. So it's kind of set in that time where it's got the magic element, so it's kind of set in the time where I'm hoping that I'm really excited for kind of how Ashen's combat kind of evolves when you have magic and guns going off and black powder. So and the trailer and stuff was just really eye catching. So looking forward to that as well. We also saw the streamers actually play some of Escape Academy. It's it's an escape room, the video game, and it was pretty fun to kind of watch them play through it. I do have to say that I actually, hashtag ad, I think officially. I work at Skybound, and this game, while my opinions are my own, I do work there, so I have to disclose that I work there, and but I will say that these are my own opinions. So I'm looking forward to this game. I think an escape room type game is something I've kind of kept track of. Me and my wife have played the We Were Here games, which also felt kind of a little bit like an escape room video game. So kind of excited to see what goes on there. And then another big title that people were talking about was WrestleQuest. Another game. I'm not the biggest wrestling fan, but I have lots of friends who are, and I'm kind of wrestling meets JRPG. Something I've seen various people on the internet excited about as well. So those are kind of the big titles that I saw coming out of the IDXbox. If there's any titles you think I missed, feel free to comment down below. Hard to think that Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is just around the corner. But this week I saw an article talking about crossplay at launch, so you'll be able to play Tiny Tina's Wonderlands with all of your friends across various different platforms. So, like I said, I'm still kind of beating my head against Elden Ring, but I am kind of looking forward to putting that down and being able to kind of pick up a looter shooter, a D&D fantasy kind of game, but very much Borderlands feel. And get into that. So building my own character, things I've been very excited for. I can't believe it's only a week away, so looking forward to picking that up. And it's also going to be probably my friend zone game, a game where I play with a bunch of my friends, and then we eventually kind of review it at the end of the month. So looking forward to that as well. Brought up Elden Ring several times already, so I might as well talk about it again. Elden Ring, big news this week. Elden Ring has sold 12 million units, which was crazy. So that is a very big number. Most of these Dark Souls games, it's already like the best-selling Dark Souls, I think From Software game that's ever been released. So it kind of is moving Elden Ring out of this kind of niche. People have always thought of the FromSoft games as kind of this niche market, but 12 million units sold in 3 weeks is definitely an accomplishment. I think I heard a couple people saying that like this is like Call of Duty levels numbers, and I can kind of agree with that. The fact that this game still has several months worth of sales. I think when I was speculating earlier this year, I didn't think Elden Ring was going to beat Call of Duty, but now I've got a little bit of hope that, and especially with Call of Duty being on the decline this year, I'm excited to kind of see if Elden Ring can pull off #1 this year. So I know there's a lot more games coming out this year, but those are some really big numbers and really impressive numbers. So FromSoft, congratulations, and yeah, looking forward to seeing how this kind of what else kind of comes out this year that can kind of make that big a splash. Also saw an article this week talking about how 70% of players have gotten through the first kind of major boss. So for anybody who's played the game, Margit is like the first kind of boss you fought, someone I fought last night in my session. But yeah, 70% of players made it through the first boss. So that's pretty exciting. I think if you look at kind of trophy data for like first milestones for a lot of games, you'll see some pretty low numbers, like 30 or 50% sometimes. So the fact that 70% of people have gotten through Margit is pretty impressive. So I haven't verified that on like my own PlayStation account, but yeah, pretty exciting stuff. Lots of people are going to speculate whether or not E3 is dead this year. I've already talked about E3 for a second earlier, but EA Play Live will not be happening this year, so don't expect EA. They've already been kind of doing their own thing outside of the official E3 and the ESA event. And even though E3 will be digital, lots of publishers will still get together to kind of showcase all of their trailers. So it won't be digital this year, or it will be digital this year, and EA won't be there. They won't even be doing their own kind of side event. So yeah, I'm hopefully that means that they're kind of reconfiguring what they're doing with the Battlefield series, considering 2042 has not been received well, and they're kind of figuring out what's going on. Especially with like some of the pushback they've gotten from the sports games with EA, with FIFA and Madden. So especially, yeah, there's a lot going on at EA. So kind of glad that they're kind of figuring this out before they kind of do a big showcase. So I don't doubt that we will see something kind of in that summer time frame, maybe in July or August, but maybe they just won't be ready by June of this year. Speaking of other publishers, Ubisoft showed off this week that they are working on a new tech that will create limitless worlds, using this kind of new tech called Scalar. I'll have a link down below that you can check out the trailer for it. But they're really they're really promising really big things with kind of making that limitless world. It sounds like they're developing it for like an MMO where people will kind of start all in one place and they'll kind of spread out from there. And maybe they'll shape the world or it'll change over time. So they're really working on this kind of the promise of the limitless game. I hearken this back to like No Man's Sky, where we've kind of heard this before, where there's a limitless number of possibilities and different things. But eventually people did find out with No Man's Sky that there was limits, and it was a really big number, but the people were still finding each other within the same universe. So yeah, and another thing is that I'm not sure that people want Ubisoft limitless worlds. I think the Ubisoft game has kind of gotten a bad rap of late, especially given the reception of Far Cry 6. So having a lot of stuff on the maps and a lot of markers and a lot of things to clear out. Now that's an open world game that's different than this kind of, I guess, limitless tech world that they're talking about. So yeah, I'm curious to kind of see what Ubisoft kind of builds towards and whether or not this is a lot of puffery and will just result in the same kind of open world experience that a lot of players have had. But kind of interested to see what Ubisoft is doing with this tech. And I know a lot of people have kind of made this promise of a limitless world. So pretty interesting to see what that's all about. Continuing with my talks about Ukraine, I think last week I talked about the itch.io bundle. So there's still plenty of bundles that you can buy into to get yourself games and help support Ukraine, which is a great cause. So Humble Bundle is now putting together a $40 bundle that gets you over 100 games and rule sets for tabletop RPGs and lots of other content that you can get. So for just $40, you can help send support to Ukraine, and you get yourself some games and books and content along with that. So pretty good cause. So I'll have a link down below for you to check that out. The Halo TV show is just around the corner, also coming next week, and I'm very excited as I've talked about it for the last couple weeks. If you have Game Pass subscribers, can link that with their Paramount Plus accounts or start up a new Paramount Plus account to get a month free, just in time for you to watch Halo with friends and family. So I'm looking forward to starting up a Paramount Plus account because I don't already have a Paramount Plus account. Being able to watch the Halo TV show. So very excited about that. Also, reviews are in for the show, and it's currently at a 62 Metacritic, which not quite surprising. I would hope that it would be a little bit higher and that it would be a little bit more critically well received. But I think it's going to be kind of dumb fun, and I've never put too much stock in the Halo series' narrative, so I'm just kind of excited to see Master Chief on the screen and fighting some aliens, and hopefully they try and tell a deeper narrative and we get something like that. But for the most part, the critics have spoken, and it's currently sitting at a 62 Metacritic. So hopefully I think the audience reviews will probably be higher. Maybe this one doesn't doesn't take as many brain cells to kind of put together what's going on in the story, but if it's just kind of dumb fun, I bet the audience will enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I just want to see Master Chief on the big screen, so I'm looking forward to that. Last but not least, this week, Humble is talked about some games that they're coming out. Humble Publishing, they have an actual publishing arm where they publish their own games, and they kind of announced two pretty cool things. Monaco is getting a sequel, a game I hadn't heard of, but I saw a lot of excitement for on the internet this week. So Monaco 2 is being worked on, and then the piece of information that I was very excited for, was Stray Gods. Previously called Chorus, it was a Indiegogo kind of crowdfunded game that is a musical kind of adventure, and it has, from what I remember of it several years ago when I backed the Indiegogo, you're playing as a character, and you select quatrains, and your character will or couplets, and your character will sing those out, and you're kind of like defeating, I think it was Greek gods. I think it was the Greek pantheon, but you're kind of Stray Gods feels like it will look and feel a lot like Hades, but you'll be kind of singing through. There'll be a musical aspect to it. So like I said, I backed the Indiegogo a while ago. Good to see that it's getting kind of publishing support, so we can finally get the game, because it's been worked on for quite some time. But hopefully we can see that game soon. So Stray Gods, look it up. It's a really cool game that I think will be a really cool idea that I really hope to see come to fruition. So that's it for this week. Thanks for watching, as always. If you feel I forgot anything, feel free to leave a comment down below. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this content. If you do, follow, like, and subscribe to me on YouTube and Twitch so you can see more great content like this. I'll have links down below in the description. Thanks again. I hope you have a super day. I hope you have a super weekend. And I hope you have a super day. Bye!